This is the Illusion, reporting from somewhere on spaceship Earth, break time at the job site. So I'm responding to E. Curtis's request or question. He was talking about how he's trying to find a job, but he doesn't want to get a job because he thinks it's going to interfere with his skating and doing what he really wants to do. I get it, man. I'm sitting here at a job site up the coast. There's surf. Go down to the skate park. But the reality is we have to sustain ourselves within this 3D reality, right? I.e., we got to generate some paper to pay the man. And my thing about this is we can't be afraid of the jobs. We just have to go get one and do it because the universe wants us to be where we can be of the maximum service. I took a job, this is a funny story. So I was doing the whole, I'm going to be an artist thing the other year, right? I didn't have the car, I didn't have the Terra Cruiser, I was just riding around on my bike, being the artist guy. And this dude I used to work for called me up and was like, hey, I want you to do a job. And I go, nah, I don't work in the valley, dude. And then he talked to me like, I was riding my bike down the street like 2 weeks later, and he was like, pulled me over in his car. He's like, hey, dude, I really need you to come do this job. I need the help. I'm like, I don't work in the valley. He's like, dude, it's just over the hill. It's not even in the valley. I'm like, I don't have a car. He's like, dude, I got a car for you to use. I'm like, all right, I'll go do this job. Well, the thing was, as I went over to do this job, I ended up getting my bro work at this job, and then the dude who hired me for this job really needed to get sober, and the third day I was there at the job, he was like, hey, dude, you're sober, right? And I go, yeah. He's like, dude, I need some help. I got a problem going on. And I helped this dude, and his life's way better today. A year and a half later, dude, he got his action on, right? So when I think about like taking jobs, like, dude, the last thing I want to be doing is sitting here at a job site on a Friday on a sunny day, right? I'm not out there. I'm in here. But what I do know is I'm supposed to be here because you are never where you're not supposed to be. And that's like a radical concept I've had to percolate through my brain, is that if I was meant to be like skateboarding right now, I would be skateboarding. If I was meant to be surfing right now, I would be surfing right now. But today I'm meant to be working with the boys down here at the job site. What tomorrow brings, I don't know. But the point being is, you got to do what's right in front of you, and you got to do it with the maximum of positive vibe, right? Because it's going to lead you to where you're supposed to go. Now, sometimes, all right, for example, how did I become a carpenter? When I was, it's just so funny how it all leads. One day I was sitting down at the beach and I was super broke. This was about 10 years ago. And I met this dude down there surfing who was like, what are you doing? And I go, I don't know, I'm super broke. He's like, dude, I'm going to come pick you up tomorrow and we're going to go do some concrete cutting. I need some help running the vacuum behind my concrete saw. I'm like, okay, I needed the money. I showed up for this. I ended up working for that dude I met on the beach that day for like 3 years as a concrete cutter. I was an apprentice concrete cutter. I learned to be a concrete cutter. I was a concrete cutter. 3 years into it, he ran out of work and laid me off, and I ended up working at this furniture store. The worst job I ever had. My bro hired me, like I would do extra work for Christmas just to make a couple extra bucks, and the chick who was working there ended up getting into a car wreck at lunch break all drunk, so I just got sucked into being a furniture salesman for 2 years. And I got super bummed at that whole scene, but I just kept going to work. I kept going to work, being a furniture salesman. And then at some point, I quit and I was broke again. And this dude I knew from the bar when I used to drink was like, hey dude, I need you to come and help me paint a house, right? right? I'm like, I don't paint, bro. He's like, but I needed the money, right? So I went to this dude's house and I painted it. The third day I'm there, his brother shows up, and his brother's like, what are you doing tomorrow? I need some help. And I didn't have work the next day. So I went with this brother, and his brother was a carpenter, and I ended up working for that dude for about 6 months learning carpentry. We were making these prayer rooms for these Baha'i people, and who was this music producer here in Malibu. So I ended up learning carpentry from Rob DuPont, the guy I talked about in the other video. So I ended up learning carpentry from him. And then I had a falling out with him, and I ended up working for this other guy, and I became a carpenter. In my last 8 years of being a carpenter, I have had other jobs along the way. For example, I spent the last year being an artist, right? Selling my art over the internet. I've worked in sober livings. When I was first getting sober, my first job was working at a sober living, and then I worked at a rehab and worked for a couple other sober livings until I decided that wasn't what I wanted to do. And I went back to being a carpenter, because what it is once you have a trade skill, and this is my advice to anyone out there who's young, is get yourself a skill set that involves your hands and your mind that translate to anywhere on the planet. I can go anywhere on spaceship Earth and build and be employable because I'm willing to show up and I'm willing to do the work. Look, sometimes I've had to go and do jobs I don't really dig just because that was what I did, but they've always led me to a better job. Every up has always had, every 2 steps forward has always had a half a step backwards, but that half step backwards led me to 2 more steps forward. So what I guess I would say to you, the young man who's questioning whether he should do the work or whatever because he wants to go skate, is go get a job, dude. Go get a job and see where it leads you. Because what it'll do is it'll introduce you to people that you wouldn't normally meet, and those people will lead you to other people you wouldn't normally meet, and they'll give you information and ideas that you wouldn't get by hanging out with your friends. Part of what life's about is expanding your horizons and knowing, A, what you don't want to do in life. Look, I've had all sorts of jobs in my life, and I know what I don't want to do. For me, I'm stoked I found carpentry because I can go explore other jobs, and when I decide that's not really for me, I can just call up one of the boys and be like, hey man, what's the job site? Where am I going? Can I plug in with my skill saw? And they're like, come on down. Because when you become a responsible employee, when you show up on time, when you work hard, you're always employable. So it goes to what I'm saying is find a skill set that always translates so that you can go anywhere in the world and get a job, dude. I guess that's really what I'm saying is like you have to be able to sustain yourself in this world because there's 2 kinds of people. There's the cans and the can. So decide what kind of human being you're going to be, a can or a can't. That advice came to me from the hologram, by the way. So anyway, good luck out there in the job world, man. I got to get back to banging on wood.